What is the very, very latest that we know?
Yeah, I mean, you and Ed were kind of hitting on it, right? Obviously, Elon Musk is saying, hey, let's get back to this original deal that we had in April. Twitter has said, hey, we want to close this at 54.20 per share, which is what they've been saying all along. Now, you would think, okay, both sides are at the exact same spot, right? That was the agreement that was in April. Now, the fact that there is a little bit of reservation here or hesitation just goes to show how much distrust has come up between these two sides over this process, right? So the fact that both of them are saying they want the exact same thing on the same day, and yet people are still waiting to say, well, let's wait until it's officially signed on the dotted line. That just kind of gives you a sense of how this is played out, that everyone is going to hold their breath until this becomes final, which we may find out in the next couple days.
Right, and who can blame them, right? As a Tesla investor, Ross, you weren't happy about Elon Musk trying to buy Twitter at all. You got out of Twitter. What are you thinking now?
Well, I'm thinking it's going to make the business books on how not to buy a company. He's literally created a huge loss for himself by really the way he's handled this, because a lot has changed inside Twitter in the last 4 months as well, including a mass amount of high quality individuals who worked at Twitter leaving and a lot more planning on leaving. So he's paying the highest price possible. He's trying to get debt at the worst time possible. He's basically being forced to buy this company. It's not like he changed of heart. I think his lawyers just told him he was going to lose. And so this is what I thought the whole time. And I got out of this mess because I didn't want to be involved with this mess. And I'm grateful I did. I lost a little money, but this is a mess. It's really not great for Elon. That said, I'm glad that it's going to come to a conclusion. And hopefully, as a Tesla investor, we can get back to focusing on the most exciting company in the world.
Kurt, let's talk a little bit about how Twitter is digesting this, because they haven't dropped their litigation. In talking to my sources, if you're Twitter, you're going to want some certainty. Is he really serious right now? Is this
right.
Really it? What are you hearing from the Twitter camp about what their next move is?
Right. Well, to your point, going back to that distrust I was talking about earlier, right? There's not a lot of incentive for anyone to simply say, we're going to drop everything we're doing because this guy said X, right? And so I think, my understanding is that Twitter would need to stay or essentially, retract its lawsuit against Musk in order for him to sign this. Presumably, if they believe that he's operating in good faith, that would be the next step, was that they'd say, okay, the lawsuit's over. Let's get back to the original agreement. But again, the fact that we're even discussing this, it just shows how fractured that relationship has been. And Emily, we've talked about this before. What's crazy is this is now who they want to run Twitter, right? A person that they've kind of painted as a liar, someone that they've painted as not prepared to operate this social network, and yet they're fighting to get him to do it. That's where employees are today, right? They're suddenly waking up and saying, okay, now this kind of, in some of their minds, worst case scenario is coming true, which means that they're going to have a new boss very shortly, and it's someone that they might not necessarily agree with on a bunch of different things.
Right, and from many perspectives, Twitter's in a worse position than it was when Elon Musk decided to buy the company because of what's happened with morale, what's happened with folks leaving the company. On the Tesla side, Ross, clearly investors are concerned about this, given the reaction in the stock. Do you believe the concern is more that he might sell Tesla stock to finance this deal, or the key man risk that his attentions are going to be even more divided?
So, from the perspective of Tesla, he sold a lot of stock already, and it's been an overhang all year from those sales. And if he has to sell, another couple billion, it's a huge company, and that'll be that. And so it takes away that uncertainty. Either way, I don't think it's that material from an economic perspective. But I think the second issue brought up is material, which is being CEO of 3 major companies is not something humans can do well. And so I get that he thinks he can do this, but this is now a media property, which is very different than running a space or EV, which are both technology companies. And the dynamics it takes to run a media company is completely opposite from his skill set. And that's been more than proven by the way he's handled the employees of Twitter, like at the all hands meeting. And I think you guys are being nice saying that there's distrust. It's not distrust, it's hate. they hate him. Okay. He's created a situation. He created it. And I love Elon. You know, I'm a fan and supporter. Don't get me wrong. But I have friends at Twitter and they hate him. So this is like getting two divorced people who hate each other to now get married again. Now, if I'm Twitter, I'm not going to get rid of this lawsuit at all. I'm going to force specific performance on Elon because there's no trust there at all. So this is a really, really difficult situation. And I think that's the risk, the key man risk to Tesla, is that now he gets this company and, you know, like, tell me what day is going to be easy for him at Twitter.
And the reality is, Kurt, let me know if I'm right here. I mean, Elon Musk could own Twitter in a matter of days, right? This could all happen really quickly.
That's right. Well, all of the kind of stipulations for the deal closing have already happened, including the shareholder vote, which we covered in September last month. And so, yes, this could all happen very quickly. What I find kind of crazy and sort of ironic and hilarious, right, is that the last guy who ran Twitter essentially was asked to leave because he had 2 jobs, right? And now the guy who's running Twitter is going to have 3 jobs. This has been said before, but the irony here, Emily, is quite strong.
Strong indeed. Ross, as a Tesla shareholder, what's your biggest concern about how, he plans to run Twitter, if he plans to run Twitter, how involved he plans to be in management, and what would you like to see? I'm assuming a more hands-off approach.
This whole thing is, I don't know how he got himself into this, but, and he's a very smart guy, so I don't know. But that said, I mean, I just don't know where this goes. So I think the most important thing is that he stay as much out of politics as possible. And obviously that's just not going to happen. And it's going to create a lot of negativity towards him. And it's a really politically difficult environment to have an opinion about politics in this day and age. And of course, you all in the media know this more than anybody. And every time he makes political statements, he's attacked mercilessly, and much of it for good reason. So that, I think, is the problem with him running Twitter, is it puts him square in the face of a lot of issues that have nothing to do with Tesla that will affect people's perception of Tesla. And, I think there's a point in time where Tesla's a big enough company, and it's now where it's not that it's like Elon needs to give a little bit of control up so that investors feel more confident about the succession plan. This is what I've been talking about for like years, that there needs to be a strong number 2 at Tesla, and there needs to be a deeper management bench. And Tesla tells me all the time how great all these young people are, which I agree, but I'm like, you need to promote these people, and you need to show and give these people some power over the business, because the perception right now is exactly what you're saying, is now this guy runs 3 public companies and in different industries. Like, once again, I don't think that's possible. So something's got to give. And, hopefully it's not Tesla, that's for sure.
And Kurt, we're 4 weeks away from an election. How are folks at Twitter thinking about this? If this does happen, right, in a matter of days,
Yep.
The election is 4 weeks away.
Yeah. And Elon has said repeatedly he doesn't, agree with a lot of Twitter's policies. He doesn't necessarily think they're necessary, right? These are things that have been kind of implemented over years, right? Over multiple election cycles. And, the big one, of course, is he said he would bring back President Donald Trump onto Twitter if he was owning the company, right? And there is a chance that all of those different things could come into play over these next couple weeks in the lead up to the U.S. midterms, and not even looking ahead to whatever happens in 2024. So I do think that there's a lot of people who are very conscious of that, who are probably very worried about that, mostly because they just don't exactly know what he's going to repeal or take away if he indeed, becomes a CEO, and how quickly they would move on something like that. But given where we are with this election, it has to be noted that kind of stuff could play a factor.